Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Gundam video. Today I wanted to update you guys on my CB decks. Today you're going to get two deck profiles, and I figured I'll just show it on here versus doing the cards just to make it a lot more easier and simple and kind of make the video not so long by condensing them both together. Because I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, what is an updated version of your deck? And I try to, at least on the purple red side, update it constantly. If you look at the description, there's should be like multiple, but we're figured we'll show you guys what my current red purple CB deck is, and also the green red. I've taken these both to locals and played with them, done pretty good. I haven't done any new types since the beginning of June, the one or two that I was able to get into. June been very busy for me, so but like I've won locals with my purple red before. Is decent. It depends on your matchups and stuff like that. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do another video that actually shows you where, we're deck theory crafting. We did one video on this channel for Epion and did pretty good. So we're gonna do one for CBs and kind of show you guys what my deck profile is. Currently with the reveal of already Gundam Repair Exia, and also the tail booster, the red one. So there's gonna be a few things that we're gonna show you guys in that video, but that's a totally different video. Keep an eye on it. If you wanna see that, go ahead and take a look at that. We'll be doing one for G Gundam as well. And obviously, if we get a chance to do Wing as well, that'd be great. But let me go ahead and just get right into it. This is the purple red CB deck. And I call it purple red aggro because the deck is very, very aggressive. So with this, I feel like when it comes to blue-purple, this deck is made for blue-purple, or mostly any aggro because of the red Exia and obviously GN armor, the pings, the base. That all becomes very good for dealing with aggro. But let me explain all the cards, ratios, and then we'll go over individually why. So we're running 4 of the O Gundam, 4 of the Virtue, 4 of the Red Exia, 3 of the Virtues, 3 of the Curios, 3 GN Armors, 3 Gundam Exia starter decks, 4 blockers GN Armors, 3 Throne Eyes, 3 Transams. Then we have 4 Ptolemaios, 1 of the Trinity Warship, 4 Allelujahs, 4 Cessnas, and 3 Ardes. O Gundam, I just happen to like it a little bit more. There's times where I've been playing the O Gundam versus the 2-2 Exia that allows you to give 1 more HP. I think it's a 2-3. I've noticed that 1 cost has been very helpful. There was a video or 2 where I recorded where on turn 6 I had 2 level 1s and Throne Eyes, and I was able to get the effect off and not use any of the CBs that I had on the field. So that also comes in a factor. There's times where I just need to squeeze out 1 more resource to bring out another unit. Perfect. By having the 2, you do eat a lot more of your resources. And I found that with this deck, like I said, being very aggressive, that 1 resource comes in handy. So O Gundam here specifically, the Virtue blocker is the blocker. I'll explain my curve a little bit when I'm playing, because obviously there's like cards that are like, why do you only have that many? But 4 of the blockers is 3-2, which is nice. Then you have 4 of the Gundam Exias. Gundam Exia is typically my turn 3 play anyway. Not Virtue blocker. It's going to be this, because it's going to be either trying to pop 1 of their 2-1s, or is really just to get it off my hand, because if it's a blocker deck, this has no use to it. So typically I will drop this on turn 3 versus dropping the blocker. Just depends on what I have in my hand. And then I'm running 3 of the Gundam Virtue 3131. The reason for this, yes, I know a lot of people don't like that it is 1 HP, but what I've noticed more and more that I keep playing is, 1, you gotta go against a deck that has ping. Now, granted, purple blue has ping, so it can ping it. But there's times where I've had a turn 3 play be Virtue and Virtue, and they have to ping maybe once or twice on their turn. Yes, you get rid of 1 unit, but now you left a healthy Virtue blocker up. It just takes away an avenue. It being a 1 cost is the only reason why I even have it in the deck, is because if this was a 2 cost one, I won't really care for it. This I care for because it has a decent effect. But this, overall, it can crack the base if you need to. And it just squeezes out another 1 drop if you needed to, especially mid to late game when you need Ions to pop off with the resting effect. This can be very helpful as well. Typically, when it comes to my turns, like I said, I drop O Gundam. If I'm going second, dropping O Gundam, then drop Gundam Exia. Turn, I guess 3, but 4 resources with the EX. Typically would be using this play here, would be a Virtue and a Virtue, or a Virtue and a Pilot. That would be my typical play, unless I have the GN armor and I really do need it at that moment in time. If I see the deck, what I'm playing against, if it's token base, I'm going to keep GN in my hand and probably drop more of the lower units. Typically, I know this sounds crazy to have Gundam Curios at 3, but if you've been playing CBs, you would know, especially when you're playing with a purple-red CB deck, you would know that this card is great when you have the pilot, but sucks when you do not have the pilot. With Dynamis, it doesn't hurt me as much because I can eat a 2-2 and be totally fine because it recovers. With this, 1 is great to attack a shield, but besides that, you can put a pilot on, you can put Cessna, but Cessna has other targets that is very important that you want to make sure you leave for that if you needed to. I don't want to just burn Cessna on here, but if you know, Curios is great when you only have Hallelujah, and if you don't have Hallelujah, this card, it burns more resources. It kind of sucks. And there's times where I've had 2 to 3 in my hand and it's like, well, I don't have the pilot, I lose. By cutting this down, I'm cutting down the chances of that happening. Also, I really shouldn't be using my Curios on curve on turn 4. I need to use it for a way to answer my opponent's unit. A lot of times they're not dropping Gundam on curve. What they're doing sometimes is just flooding the field and letting the field deal with it, and then at the end drop Gundam. And this also deals with Ails. A lot of times, maybe if I'm going against blockers, they will drop Ale on curve. And in that scenario, hopefully we do have it. But typically, I'm not dropping this right away. This is surprising, like a really good late game, mid game unit. Early on, you might not want to always use this. Like I said, typically you would need the 2-piece combo to make this work. And if you don't have it, this card kind of sucks a little bit. Yes, it has first strike, but it only has first strike with 1. So unless you pinged it with the base or you pinged something else to give it 1 less damage, then you can go ahead and, hit a 2-1 that has 1 damage on it and then first strike it. But there's times where the first strike can be very helpful. Like we talked about, if they have 1 HP left, this has first strike, go ahead and swing. But without the pilot, this really does suck. And again, Cessna is better used for other units. Like the Exia, that's more I'm going to most likely use it. I could potentially use this on a GN armor type E to break a 6 HP base. Exia to mill 2 and rush right away, but I have RA to just, if I need to, with that, just put any pilot on there. So on curve, don't always want to see it. I kind of want to see this more, turn 5, turn 6, maybe 7, where you want to kind of really see this. And I know it sounds silly because you want to draw, but you need this 2-piece combo to work. And if you don't draw it, it just feels bad. So drawing it, putting it at 3, I've seen this card still in my hand at 2. And sometimes I've drawn all 3 without seeing the pilot. So it does feel bad still, but I know by having it at 3 is probably just where I want my sweet spot to be. GN Armor Type E, instead of the normal Exia, that's a 4-3 Rizal pretty much. We're going with this. There's still tokens in this deck. You got Togis, the Leos. You have Striker packs. Some people are taking out Striker packs, but you have Striker packs. You have You have Gun Tank. You have Zaku 2, the one that buffs a 3 on attack. You have a lot of things here. You have the Zaku token from the Zaku that blows up, and when it's destroyed, it has a token that pops up when it's paired. There's still tokens out. You can use this. Obviously, pants. You have the arms and the head. All that plays a factor into, well, this is a token popper. So you put Cessna on this, it becomes 6 on attack and can crack a base. So that's it at 3. Going into Exia, with Exia being at 3 allows me to not always see it. It is a heavy cost at 4 without the pilot to rush, but it does mill. And what's good about having is you can put any pilot. So typically, if I haven't seen Cessna or I have one in my hand, sometimes I don't rush with Exia. What I will do is I'll put Arde on here instead, just to mill 2. The reason for that is I would actually rather have Cessna on my my Trans Am if I know I can make it live. And what I will say is, consistently, by having this aggro lineup, by being more low heavy, I have consistently dropped on turn 5 have 7+ CBs in my graveyard, because if you notice, every single card in my deck is a CB card. So every single thing is going to be, you see no commands. This is a pure aggro. Drop everything, put a bunch of units down, and then if you get to the end game, Trans Am to pop to finish things off. And a lot of times it does work. It does rush. On turn 5, I'm typically having enough for it to be on curve, especially against aggro. I have over 10 on turn 5 sometimes against an aggro. They're either swinging at my units or going for shields, and it's like, okay, perfect. So the reason why that's really important to have it on curve is because Cessna buff on curve surprises a lot of people. On curve, if I was to swing with this, if I have it with this, makes it, this will hit for 4, where people are like, wait, they're going to be a lot stronger. Obviously, if I crack the base and then I hit a 4 HP unit, there's that CB +1 can be very, very helpful that people don't see coming. So you have, your units that can attack for 4. This would be a 4. All this plays a factor into it just being a little bit stronger on curve if you need it. But I've consistently, like I said, I've had it on curve 5 drop because we have so much early on. And then on turn 7, I have it like 12 to 15 card CBs in the graveyard by that time. And I have that effect to go live. So it all plays a factor into just getting these units on curve. Very, very important. The mill 2 and then draw 1 is actually really good as well. GN Armor Type E, I put this up to 4 now. This card is just super solid. I can deal with aggro. Mid-game can be a little dicey, which is why I wanted to put GN Armor, because he links with anything. It links with Hallelujah, Cessna, and Arde. So if I needed to link, we can go ahead and link and go take off on that. It'd be really nice to see a CB pilot that I could put in here. I put Arde over Nina because I want the draw with a deck that's super aggressive. I want to be able to keep consistently getting more cards, more of the key pieces. Maybe I get my Curios and Hallelujah. Maybe I'll get my Exia and my Cessna effect to go off, to draw. So Arde just becomes really good. So that's why I'm using it over Nina at the moment. But this link is just really, really solid. I put Trans Am Curios in here, and I did not like it as much because this Trans Am is a 5 cost on turn 6 with the pilots, just uses up all your resources. With this, I can technically go ahead and put the pilot on here if I wanted to and still have 1 resource if I needed to drop a 1 cost unit or drop a base if I needed to. So that's very, very helpful by not having all your resources burn up with the Trans Am. Yes, Trans Am is really good because it can get the first strike. but without consistently having the pilot, it doesn't get it. It is a 5-4 stat line, and so is this. This is a 5-4 stat line, and it links with anything. So that is what I have specifically for that. Throwing Irons, amazing. I had it at 2, put it up to 3. It's just really good to blow up my opponent's field or do everything for 2 damage on turn 6. Can be very, very helpful. When you see this coming up on turn 4, turn 5, you start to set yourself up for your turn 6 play, which is to rest and have units out for this. So there's times where I should have swung, but I want to be able to live with my units up so I can turn them sideways. So sometimes, depending on how my hand is, if I don't have enough to drop this and have 2 more units, then I need to make sure my units on the field stay active so that I can do this and not be destroyed. So Throwing Irons really solid on here, just to be able to burn for 2 for everything level 6 or lower. And then Trans Am, a great card, suppresses. On top of that, if you have 10 in the graveyard, it destroys the lowest HP. With this deck right now, like I said, my main focus is to make these cards live on their turn. When you drop them, you have them live. And this card is just pretty decent. I always will gripe and hate that this card is a 4 HP unit versus being a 5 HP unit. With the pilot makes it 6. I kind of gripe. If I had to take 5, AP instead and have a 5/5, I would take that. It just sucks because if you drop this card by itself, AO can just bounce it back to your hand. It's so silly that this is a 6/4, but really solid card. With the new stuff, I'll show another video on that, and that, like I said, it just makes it even more consistent. And I was able to play test with the new stuff so that I'll see if I can show you guys as well. But obviously, pop, great. Suppression, finish the game. You try to be aggressive early on and then suppressed and have the board flooded and to kind of finish things off. Total Miles, great card. Obviously against aggro, the best card. The only problem is, again, tokens can break this base. It's another thing that I think is super silly, that I was hoping to get another base for them, because it's level 3 or lower other than tokens. So tokens can still break this, but it's still overall the best base. So we're gonna run it for aggro. You have your unit sideways, they have to smack it level 3 or lower, except tokens. Then you have Trinity Warship. I have it at 1. I wanted to have 5 base to be a little bit more consistent. Surprisingly, I do see this card often. Surprisingly, sometimes I play duels and I've only seen 1 base, and it's this one. So it's funny, but it is another CB base, so you can add it to your deck, to your hand for Hallelujah's effect. That has happened quite often, which is why I'm starting to like the effect of making sure I have all CBs. And again, with this deck, every single card is a CB, so if it goes in the graveyard, it just fuels the Cessinas and Exias. With Trinity Warship, rest one of your CBs, level 5 or lower, deal 1 damage to it on your opponent's side. Can be very, very helpful. Just helping ping things out. If they traded, a unit and they have 1 HP left, well, perfect. I would drop one of my CBs, rest it, ping that for 1 to finish off that unit. So overall, 5 bases I find to be just right. 4 Hallelujahs, because it can link with obviously Kyrios, but it can also link with Gundam Armor Type E. Very, very important. You could still link with this and go off, which is pretty decent. Maybe you attack their lower unit so they can keep your unit up. He doesn't obviously care to be the blocker if you're going to be aggressive and rush right away, but it is a way, again, to get the effect off so you can draw. Typically, mid to late game is when I do need more cards in my hands, so that's why I don't mind this setup. More typical, turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, need more cards. Hallelujah, perfect. Cessna 4, amazing. Links with obviously the red Exias, the GN armors, and just can be very, very solid. The buff of 1 surprises a lot of people, can change things up because it's +1. 4, really great. Then 3 Ardes, like I mentioned a little bit briefly, Arde is actually pretty solid because you get that draw 1, and that's the only real reason why I'm using it. On top of that, on my turn 3s and 4s, typically an ideal would be like drop O Gundam, next turn drop potentially, you know, the red Exia if we needed to. Let's just say we're going second. This is even more better if you go second, if you wanted to. It just depends on how your hand is. You drop this on turn 2, but you have 3 resources. On turn 3, where you have 4 resources, you can go ahead and drop, you know, Gundam Virtue with Arde to have the pilot ready to go if you needed to. If not, I've done this a couple times too, depending if there's aggro. I had red Virtue in my hand and Arde. I will link it for a 4, break their EX base, and then swing with these 2/2s to shield. So it kind of puts a little bit more pressure on my opponent, and then I don't burn my EX resource by doing that. So Arde on my early units on turn 4 can be very helpful, and that's typically the play I would do on turn 4 is drop this onto one of them and go ahead and swing. If I have GN armor type, then I might turn into a GN armor type, but against aggro, you really want to flood the field. So typically I flood the field and then I start attacking, dealing damage to their shield and making it a challenging where the aggro player now has to turn and be more controlling. So that's the reason why I typically like the turn 3, turn 4 plays, because that's what I would normally do. And it's not normally dropping Kyrios on turn 4. So that is kind of how my red purple deck. It is a aggro variant, and it's pretty solid. Like I said, it has top a lot of locals for me, and I have one locals with this as well. It's just overall nice. Again, this is my final version. I like the aggressive. There is a more control variant where you put Nina Trinity, maybe some overwhelming pressures, maybe some damage controls, but then you just don't get these on curve. On curve, sometimes if I'm aggressive, I want that on curve just to finish the game off. If I'm more controlling, then this starts to, you know, be put in the deck where you put Nina Trinity, maybe you put giant killings or overwhelming pressure, just to start destroying and put some damage controls in here. But that is red purple. Let's move right into red green. All right, now going into red green, I've played this a few times. I haven't won a locals with it because I've been playing with the red purple, but I have gotten second or third a couple times while playing this with this final variant of my red green CBs. This deck is more super control-y. Just attack your opponent's unit, make them burn their resources to drop units, attack them, get rid of it. If they don't have enough ways to keep drawing more units, then after you finish blowing up their or destroying their field, then you start to take care of the shields. And hopefully by then you have enough CBs in the field to go ahead and finish for lethal. So let's go over these cards. I'm running 2 of the Gundam Kyrios, the green one. With this deck, you have the option to link with both of the Ollies and Hollies. So with that, can be very helpful. Can be a Roselle on your turn if you need to. That can be very surprising. I'm running full shield in this deck. I do have lock on, as you guys can see. This has been very helpful. If there's a pilot out once per turn, I take 1 less damage, which means that technically you need to hit this for 4 to get rid of it. So at times I've had lock on linked onto it and it just becomes very annoying to deal with because it takes 1 less damage. Then you have red Exia. In this deck, there is you do need a way to answer your opponents being very, very aggressive. You can go turn 3, great, but if they're aggro, you need a way to get rid of their units. So you hope that you can get your close combats and your tactical visionary, which is very low, but you hope that you can, you know, just start controlling the field So Red XC is there to just control the field. Yes, you don't have the link, but the effect is just too good right now with a lot of aggro to not use it. I'm running 3 Virtues. I like this card. I know you don't have Arde in this deck because you can't, because it's purple, but I do find being aggressive, dropping that 1 resource can be very helpful. It takes away, you know, if they close combat this, great. I only wasted 1 resource. They had to waste 2 to blow this up. If they don't have a way to blow this up, this is a really great card. It cracks their big EX base, and then I can swing with my weenies if I needed to. So overall, I like it. I know it sucks that it's 1 HP, but I've noticed it's been very, very helpful. You can, if you wanted to. My first version of the deck, I ran the 2-2-3-1 tail flight Curios. Let's see if we can pull that up for you guys. I did run this unit here right above my head. I did run this because on turn 2 you can drop this, and it's the same stat line as Virtue. And you can take out the Virtue if you wanted to and put that and still get the same effect. And you have the linkable trace if you needed to. The reason why I chose this over the tail flight mode or the flight mode is because of the 1 resource. There's so many times where that 1 resource, I can do something with 1 resource. And typically, that has been very, very helpful. If I have this at 2, I burn through 2 of my resources. Maybe I can't do my plays like I wanted to. If there was more 1 cost CBs that you can use, I would probably use them. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of 1 cost, specifically in the green/red variant. So that is why we have to, choose. Do we want this or do we want the red Virtue? Same stat line, same. The only difference is 1 cost. So I chose the red Virtue, but you can use this if you wanted to. Then we're running 4 Curios. With this deck, it becomes more important that you want to make sure you have the link, and you can potentially have the link now with Hallelujah. So the combo is a little bit more there for you if you needed to. If you don't see Holly but you see Ali, you still get the effect. It's just not as great because you don't get the drawing effect, but you still get the first strike if you needed to. So it can be there if you need it. So on turn 4, this is really great to use. If you're going second, I try not to burn my EX resource because I want to get to turn 5, where 5 is where I start to burn maybe 4 if I needed to, because I might need to burn something, but turn 5 is where I will normally drop and burn my EX if I needed to, unless I needed to be super aggressive. But Curios here, you have more ways to get the link if you need to get that first strike. I'm running 4 Dynamis. With Dynamis, I just find like Dynamis is just a really solid card. By itself, you can drop it. Yes, you need a link to be able to get that +2, but you don't need a link for the recovering 2. So I find that even without lock on, I can go ahead and get rid of a 2/2, recover, my units stay alive. So I just find it still very, very helpful in this deck because we're running lock on and we're running the other Dynamis. Why not? If you want to take lock on out completely, I totally understand that, and run more of the Curios package, maybe a few more Trinity package, you can run that. But I find lock on be very, very helpful because the deck idea, the premise on it is really to attack their active units at all times. So having that lock on, very solid. As you see the other cards, you'll see what I mean by hitting active units. I'm running 3 of the Breacher Dynamis. By itself is pretty solid. It is 1 turn less than the Type D Breacher, and also costs 2 resources less. Breach, awesome. Turn 5, I have yet to burn my EX resource. If I need to, go ahead and burn it. If not, still super solid unit to have out. It can breach, can be very helpful. And just again, it's a breacher on its own. Don't need the effect, don't need a pilot. Do what you need to do. Next, moving on to Tail Booster. Someone has recommended this when the deck first came out. I played against other CBs. A lot of people recommended this, and I figured, you know what, we'll try it. And I actually don't mind it because there is a trick with this, very important, and I've used this a few times as well. It's a 5-3, 5-4 stat. It's a 5-4, 5-3 stat line with an effect that on deploy, choose one of your units paired with a super soldier. They can choose an active unit that's level 4 or lower as their target. Now, what's very important about this is it says choose one of your units paired with a super soldier. Very important. It doesn't have to be linked. It has to be paired. So you can, if you wanted to, put the Dynamis out. Next turn, put Alleluia onto the Dynamis. Drop the Tail Booster. This can smack an active unit. And then if it's 3 AP, if you have a link somewhere else on the field, my apologies, this worked out this way. I actually put, let me say this again. Turn 5, drop this. Next turn, drop this. On turn 6, drop this. Oh, hold on. I messed it up again. That's why I had to think about it. Dynamis, turn 5. Next turn, pair the pilot onto this Dynamis. Next turn, drop this. When I drop this, I can now swing and hit an active unit. Now, if I put a pilot to make a link available, you get Alleluia's effect where it doesn't take any damage from 3 AP. So typically, if I have a link with like a Dynamis out, maybe or another unit, if I have a link out except this, then I can get the effect off where I take no damage from a 3 AP because you got to have a link out in field. If you don't, then you have to do the pair, which is what I was trying to say, is then I will pair with this if I needed to get this effect off to go ahead and swing to go get one of the active units out. And then this can swing to get out one of their lower units and hopefully survive, but then you can get the draw off there if you needed to. So just a way that I kind of like, when I was told about it, I saw the effect. I said, oh, this is very possible. I see why people would like this. You just need it to be paired. You can put this onto any unit and it will get its effect as well. So just something to keep in mind. And it is 5, so it can crash a base by itself next turn if you needed to. It's just something that can be very, very helpful. If you on turn 4 have the Kyrios and Hallelujah, and they started to keep their units active because they don't want to get first strike, drop this and then hit them for first strike. So again, very, very helpful depending on what your scenario is. It's just, I wanted to show you guys that you do not have to have a link. You can put that on there, and if you have a link, you don't take 3 AP damage back. You can breach, hit their active unit. It's just very, very silly. You do need more involved, but can work if you needed to. So yep, that's for that. Then we have 1 Trans Am. I want to go to 2, but I find Thrown Ions very, very useful to blow up my opponent's field. I have found this to be the most useful to throw Ions in the deck at 3. I had it at 2-2. You can run 2-2 if you wanted to, but I've noticed Ions have been very, very helpful blowing up my opponent's field and then keep them smacking. But end game, you can have this if you need to link. A lot of times you want to have both of them out on the field, but sometimes your opponent does not give you that option. Against a blocker deck, you have a chance to have both pilots out, but against aggro, you don't, and you kind of want to just blow up the field. Again, the deck is to specifically focus on hitting their active units. So that's why I want to make sure that whenever they're active, they're going to get hurt or be destroyed. Next, 2 Tactical Visionaries. I had it at 4. Don't want it at 4. It messes up the draw. But I also don't care for it to be on turn 1. I know that sounds silly. On turn 1, I'm hoping to have my early game anyway. And by having a bunch of these units turn level 4 or lower to be ready to go on, you know, there's 3, 7, then you have 9, 11. You have early on, you can have your turn 3 plays and hope that you get your close combat. I typically look for a close combat and or I look for an early on unit. If I can get those two, chef kiss. But Tactical Visionary has hurt me. It burns a little bit when you try to use it and then you pitch all your pilots. So I kind of only want to use this more to mid to late game to get the key piece I might need. So I dropped it down from 4 to 2 because of that. I hate that I can't grab this with Hallelujah. And I also hate that you can, dump your pilots if you needed to. So 2 is there. Next, I am running 3 close combats. If I can put 4, I would. Because I find that hitting for early on with aggro is very, very important. But I think to cut something out would be kind of tough. I would have to cut out like a bridge crew or something else. And I feel like that takes away from hitting my active units. So I'm still torn on it, but yeah. Next, you have Underground Desert Base. I have 1 in here to make 5 bases in total. And this has helped me out a lot of times because against aggro, they need to smack 2 units unless they have Gundam out to hit the base. So that wastes them to swing. And then if they swing and they don't have enough, or they got to do a couple swings, then I have my Kyrios live to go ahead and smack their units. 2 Ollies because honestly, I don't like Ollie at any higher level than 2. You can run 3. It's just, you're going to put it on Gundam Kyrios. Okay, but then most likely it's going to die pretty quickly. And it can die. So, I just find 2 is just right. Unless we get more Kyrioses, in which we are getting 1 Kyrios in GD05, then I would definitely, understand if you want to put this to 3, or take out lock-on altogether. In that case, you would do 4-4. 2 bridge crews. I like this card now, specifically in this deck, because when I had red, purple, green, I felt like it was silly that only Dynamis was the only one that can get benefit of hitting an active unit. Now you have Kyrios, you have Dynamis, you have this Dynamis, you have this Transams if you get it active. All very, very important. And if you don't know what this is, it's burst, add this card to your hand, and then you can choose one of your units and choose one of your opponent's any unit with no pilot and hit it active. There's no level requirement like this is. So what this can do is I can smack, if I have enough units, I can smack a Neo Zeon that is active with no pilot, which then you can first strike if you have it. So something to keep in mind, that you can do stupid, silly stuff like that. And again, when they're trying to keep their units active, Bridge Crew very solid. And just another tail booster, but it's only 1 cost versus this is a 4 cost unit. So looking at this, you have 4 lock-ons, you have 2 tail boosts, 2 Bridge Crews. I'm going to smack a lot of your active units. And then you're going to have to respond. And when you respond, I have the other unit to go ahead and do it. So if I have Dynamis and I smack their unit, they leave it active. Maybe I activate Bridge Crew and hit another one of their units. You know what? I got to deal with that unit. Perfect. Get rid of my Dynamis. Perfect. Now I bring out Kyrios. Kyrios then smacks and hurts your unit. And then it's like, crap, it's first strike now. I gotta keep it active. Well, great. Now I have tail booster to make it as an active unit and smack a level 4 or lower. So it just becomes like a cycle of non-stop hitting their active units, which again, you then get your uses with the Hallelujahs. And then obviously you will recover with the Dynamis lock-on package. So something to keep in mind, 4-4, that's pretty much what it is. Now I will update the, excuse me, I will update this with the tail flight mode that's coming out. Actually, I have Kyrios right here. This one right here, one above my head. I will update this deck with this because I do find that this is very useful. I probably will take out the whatever this is, the Virtue, sorry, or I'll take off maybe this Kyrios. Because this is very, very helpful. I don't need a pilot. I can smack it. And again, it can tack and rested unit. It doesn't have like it. If it has a pilot, nope. You can smack as long as rested. I can smack it. So it's pretty much like a close combat battle of aces kind of style. You're hitting for 3 here. Again, very helpful. And if you need to, you have the Hallelujah link. If you needed to, just saying, if you needed to, I will update this. But my main focus will obviously be purple, red, and the new stuff coming out. Now, that's pretty much it. I want to update you guys because a lot of people have asked me, what is my new decks looking like right now? And I've been asked on both sides, both my decks, and I figured I'd just update you guys all in one video. I know this video is going to be long. I'm going to try to segment it for purple, red, and green, red, so you guys can see those deck profiles and kind of understand my mindset when it comes to it. But that is pretty much it. The next video I'm going to be having out for you guys will be talking about the new changes that I'm going to be doing to red purple with the repair Exia on here as well. But that's pretty much it, guys. We will be having a video also talking about the new CB's cars, all the cars that have released. That'll be more towards the end of the week. I need to do a video with all the cars have been released by then. By the end of this week, we should have, I think, all the cars released. On top of that, we talk about all the G Gundam stuff that has come out, and I'll show you guys what my deck profile is going to be for that, because G would be another deck I will be using. Another a series that I love. It's probably my favorite series. So we will be using that as well, and we will be looking into using some G Team deck as well. We showed you guys like an Epion blue-white deck theory crafted. I will be playing with that and making potentially a wing green-white deck, but hopefully make it where it's less blockers and real, like it feels like an actual archetype versus just block until the very end. But we'll see how that goes. Those are my 3 most excited decks to come out. Don't get me wrong, I do think that the Sazabi red purple looks super solid, and I can't wait to play that as well. But if you had made me choose, G and CBs are my favorites, and those are the ones I will be playing with the new sets coming out. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. I'll try to condense the video as quick as possible, get this video out, make 2 deck profiles, and that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.